My brother, the golden child, tried to steal my wedding day by proposing to his girlfriend during the ceremony, so I kicked him out. Now my family is facing many problems and I'm being blamed for it. My family continued to attempt to intervene, and before she became pregnant with twins, my mom, if my memory serves me correctly, had 4 abortions. My parents' need for a boy was the only reason they carried out the pregnancy. My sister and I had been neglected ever since my brother was born. My mother was very clingy to my brother, but our grandparents and nannies took care of us most of the time. Because of this treatment, my brother was never exposed to the real world. It is impossible to deny that he is a sheltered child, having never been allowed in the kitchen by my mother. He is 26 years old and unable to prepare his own food. Due to the amount of money my mother has given him, he does not even know how to make a grocery list. My brother has had relationships all his life, but none of them ended well. Every female eventually broke things off with him after realizing that he was just a man-child and didn't deserve their company. Did he find it bothersome that it kept happening? No. Both mom and he were naive enough to think that everything was always the girl's fault and that he was not at fault, even though other relationships had ended in this manner. I gave up attempting to have a rational discourse with both of them when I was 22 because I was sick of having these arguments over and over again. I moved out of the house and enrolled in a master's degree on a foreign continent. It was in this master's course that I met my current spouse. We were in the same class, although he was a year older than I was. We grew close friends before falling in love. After 3 years of a fulfilling relationship, he asked me to marry him approximately 4 months ago. I was thrilled when he asked me to marry him, and I had to tell my family right away, but that brought up a fresh set of problems. The fact that I was getting married while he wasn't made my brother quite unhappy. I attempted to reassure him that it's acceptable that he isn't married yet, that he should concentrate on his current relationship and propose to her as soon as he feels secure enough in it. But no, he didn't listen to anything I said. The only thing that counted was that the man of the house would not be the one to tie the knot. I attempted to clarify that being single at 26 does not make one any less manly, but it just made him more irate and made him snap at me. He told me all of it, and after that, I felt that was enough and ended the call, thinking that was the end of it. I've moved on because I knew the wedding planning would be very busy, but my family wasn't so sure. I was spending the rehearsal dinner with my family 3 weeks prior to my wedding because it was a Saturday that worked for everyone. When they weren't attending to the dinner at the rehearsal, I observed that my brother and parents were occupied with small talk. I wondered what was going on between them because of the intense talk they were having. After most of the things were finished, I went to them. My parents smiled and told me about their wonderful idea. When I asked them, they revealed that they had this plan for my brother to ask his 7-month girlfriend to marry him during my wedding. They stated it as though it were the most apparent thing ever, and I'm the strange one for not having looked into it further myself. You can imagine my surprise upon hearing it. I questioned them about their sincerity and their response. They were taking this extremely seriously, saying I was annoyed would have been a major understatement of the circumstances. I clarified that I could not support them and that what they were attempting was very unacceptable. My mother questioned me about my behavior because she was unable to comprehend my decision to keep my brother out of the most significant day of my life. She believes that I am being a bad person for thinking of the family before anything else and that I should never do that. I became irritated with everything she was saying, so I argued with her and made it very apparent to the rest of the family that I didn't want my brother to propose during my wedding because I wanted to have that one day all to myself. Since this was my wedding, I also deserved to get married in peace without him taking center stage like he always had since we were kids. Being the middle kid, our sister does not take pleasure in remarking in these kinds of circumstances. However, she concurred with me. She suggested that we should have told our parents since there is no assurance that his lover would value the proposal. Our brother asked her out somewhere else at my nuptials. The people that our brother proposed to at the wedding are the ones that could give her the impression that she is not significant enough. My brother concluded that it would be best to abandon the entire matter and that we were correct after realizing the reasoning behind it and how it would hurt his own reputation. He had no intention of doing it. I had faith in him. It was a bad choice because 3 months later, when I was being married, my brother got up from his seat and knelt in front of his fiancée as soon as I got to the altar. While the bride's family occupies the front seat on the bridal side, everyone was able to witness it. I lost it because I felt embarrassed to be here. Honestly, I pulled my brother away from the altar and forced him to stand again. Before he could ask me to marry him, I instructed him to go. When he got up and asked what I wanted, my mother jumped up and asked how dare I throw her lovely son out. The moment I said that we all agreed he wouldn't pop the question during the ceremony, I informed her she was free to leave with him and his girlfriend. Even before I was formally married, he was attempting to propose to his girlfriend. That did not sit well with my mother. She threatened to leave if I didn't allow my brother to continue the proposal. My mother removed my brother and his girlfriend from the wedding after realizing that I didn't really care if she stayed. The remainder of the program went rather smoothly, but as soon as the wedding was over, my father and sister had to depart. My sister had to attend a brief work call, and my dad was inundated with calls and messages from my mom. She made sure I understood that I wasn't to blame for throwing them out of the wedding before she left. Even though I informed her that I was unaware of this, I couldn't help but question the veracity of her claims after noticing the questionable posts that my brother and his girlfriend had been making since the day of their marriage. I am now at this place. Am I to blame for throwing out my brother who felt it would be fantastic to defy me and propose at my wedding? First update, hi to all of you. I greatly appreciate your replies. Observing your insistence that what I did was appropriate made the drama I'm going through in my life a little bit easier to handle. As it happens, my brother, the liar, told his girlfriend that I had truly desired for him to propose during my wedding, and then I changed my mind at the last minute. How was I made aware of this? After seeing one of her nasty and dubious posts about me online. I decided to get in touch with her. She was angry with me for the first few messages, but after we both learned the truth, she changed her mind and deleted all of her posts about me. If I'm being really honest, I'm grateful for it. It felt wonderful to know that she was not involved in it at all, but it also made me feel like a bit of a jerk for throwing her out of the wedding the way I did. She did not harbor resentment toward me after learning the truth about how everything transpired, but she was incredibly understanding. Apart from that, my mother had made it her mission to inform our entire extended family that I am a bad person because I turned down my brother's proposal at my wedding, among other things. Second update, my mother is the person who is most furious with me, followed closely by my brother. What is causing their anger, you inquire? It's because, following our talk, his girlfriend ended their relationship. She didn't want to be with someone who couldn't even be forthright about the proposal, so she called my brother and decided to end things. She also believed that my brother was being conceited and stingy throughout the entire situation, and she was confident in her own abilities. My brother, however, only learned that I had been the one to inform her of the situation's reality. I'm the bad guy now. I'm not sure what I meant to do. Third update, hi to all of you. I apologize for the week and a half it took me to update you all. For the time being, my brother and I have not spoken. My mother has taken my brother's side. Remarkably, she is unable to press her charges too far because my father is on my side. But everything came up against the question. My mother and brother visited my house shortly after I had made my last update, telling me that I was being incredibly entitled to want to get married before the man of the house was married and that my marriage would never work out in the first place. I was deeply saddened by hearing those comments from my relatives. They went home after yelling at me for 2 hours and accusing me of being involved in all of his relationships. I called my dad at that point and told him everything. The remainder is now history. I'm not very concerned about my brother's safety because he lives with my parents even if we stop talking. Regarding my mother, it is evident that she is unwilling to communicate with me, but she has to talk to me once a week because of my dad. Although things aren't exactly how I had hoped they would be right now, my husband is a wonderful and forgiving individual, and I am very grateful for his support. However, I have to admit that this is not how I imagined my married life starting. I desired something more joyful, something I could enjoy with my family as well as my spouse. Nevertheless, here we are. I have optimism that eventually we will work things out and be able to communicate again.